based on the same technology as the Dancitron.
Only we've limited the microbionics to Johnny's right arm, but increased its power 3,000%.
Doesn't feel any different.
Try hitting the dummy.
Johnny Test is an iconic show from the early mid-2000s, and it's a fascinating show. And in this episode, Johnny Test gets his hands on a bionic arm, literally. But could an arm that powerful actually exist, or would it snap your body in half first? So to catch us up on speed, in this episode, Johnny's twin sisters build him a bionic arm that helps him dominate at dodgeball. It's faster, stronger, and way more destructive than a normal arm. But let's break down what it would actually take to make one, and what would actually happen if you tried to use it. So let's assume that Johnny Test is an 11-year-old boy, and he's probably like 1.45 meters tall, and he's like 38 kilograms. Knowing all that, and let's assume the dodgeball is an average like half a kilogram pound, and a normal kid would throw the ball at 15 meters a second, about. And the throw time is really short, as this is a really fast motion, so let's say it's 0.15 seconds. However, in that clip that we just saw at the start, the sisters say that it would boost his power by 3,000%. Now what does that mean? Well, it means that we're going to get some cartoonishly high results. So the baseline speed will go all the way up to 83.5 meters a second, or in other words 187 miles an hour, that dodgeball, and will generate so much energy, almost 31 times exactly, so it will go up to 1744 joules, and the momentum also becomes insane, averaging at around 48.8 newtons a second. Now knowing all that, we can now calculate the average power over the throw, and what we get is again a very comical 11.6 kilowatts, which is a ginormous amount of power. Now if we were to compare this with a real baseball player, who let's say has a 0.145 kilogram baseball, and they're going to throw it at around, with the average fastball, let's say it's 45 meters a second. That would only generate about 147 joules of energy. So Johnny's throw, and on the other hand, is 1744 joules, which is about 12 times that energy. With a ball, by the way, that's 3 times as heavy. So this would probably not only seriously injure you, but it has a possibility of breaking a few things. And if we were to assume an ideal 45 degrees and no air resistance, we could calculate the range that this ball would travel, the dodgeball. So at baseline, it would, go about 23 meters, which is a pretty standard, distance for a gym. But with this absurd power amplification, it will go up all the way to 710 meters, almost a kilometer, half a mile actually, almost, which is a ridiculous range. So if we ignore the shoulder torque of Johnny Test, that recoil impulse equals the ball's momentum. So what that means is if that impulse is transferred to Johnny, his backward speed right after the release would be 1.1 meters a second, if we were to divide the momentum by his mass. So he would stumble back, for sure. But besides the point, that's the least of his concerns. The problem is the peak joint that would load during the acceleration. An arm outputting more than 10 kilowatts for a kid would tear soft tissues, or more than likely dislocate the shoulder, unless the whole body is reinforced or he's wearing an exosuit like from Advanced Warfare. So now revisiting the first clip that started off this video, we see this dodgeball not only recoil off the walls at crazy speeds, but hit both his sisters and his dog, which, by the way, the likely effects on them, considering they're preteens and the dog is pretty tiny, Mary and Susan are probably dead. If not dead, they probably have high risk of rib fractures, they might have some internal bleeding, definitely have a concussion or facial fracture if it ever hit their head. And the dog is definitely dead. Duke might have an organ rupture or internal bleeding, also a concussion, high risk of rib fracture, lung bruises, just that kind of ball going that fast. And it doesn't help the fact that the recoil of the ball preserves the momentum, so it carries some excessive speeds. So guys, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, and as always, stay critical and stay curious. This was the Nuclear Student, signing off.